astTECS, leading enterprise telecom brand.
The astTECS webinar. So this time we are talking about enterprise security solutions. Hope my voice is clear to everyone. If
Yes.
yes, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
thank you. And hope my presentation is visible. The screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is going to be a 35 to 40-minute session. We will be mainly talking about enterprise security solutions, especially with regards to astTECS, what astTECS has in its kitty to offer to enterprise security solutions. I kindly request those who are the mic is on, please mute so that it won't disturb others. You will have a chance during the question answer. You can ask the questions where you can also come online to discuss with us. Maybe next 35 minutes, please, it will be a monologue type discussion. So I will be talking about the entire offerings that we have and different features of it. If you have any questions or any clarifications that you may require, please leave your comment in the chat box, your question in the chat box, your queries or questions or clarification, anything you can put it in the chat. We will be attending to all those questions after last 20 to 15 to 20 minutes of the session. Okay, so as mentioned, today we will be discussing about astTECS enterprise security solution offerings. This is the small outline. Um, we will be talking about new enterprise security landscape. I thought it is important to understand before we talk about the solutions, how the enterprise security atmosphere is getting shaped, what changes is happening, why those changes are happening. We will be discussing those points there. Then telecom and cyber security. Why telecom? Because astTECS, as all of you might be aware of, we are an enterprise telecom company. So we just wanted to connect security and telecom because there is a big opportunity lying there for all of us to meet those requirements. Then we will also speak about, okay, then we come to talk about SBC, which is a session border control, a security tool for VoIP, then firewall and its feature set, the VPN and its benefits, and followed by the question and answer. So mainly the three products which we will be shortly touching up is SBC, firewall, and VPN. Okay, so we move on. In case if any voice disturbance or any delays, please intimate me so that I can get it checked. So to start with, the new enterprise security landscape. So what is happening, in the security field with enterprises? Because these all are the talking terms in the market or talking points in the market. There are a lot of companies coming into the security scenario. A lot of companies are talking about the security aspects. See, if you compare last decade with this decade, you can see a lot of digitizations are happening. Today, there are a lot of companies which is online, e-commerce companies or any companies, even the taxi service, everything is more of a digitalized business models, the aggregator business models. When I say digitization, that means a lot of data has to be put in the cloud or somewhere else. It is not in your control. Maybe 10 years back, all your data sits within your four walls of your office, right? So you don't have to much worry about the security of it unless until you have a proper key for proper lock and access to your office. Nobody else can take it up, right? If something happens also, we clearly knows that it happened maybe from somebody inside. But today the scenario is changed due to digitization, increased adoption of the cloud products, cloud solutions, then also the increased innovations in AI and ML, the artificial intelligence and machine learning. Everybody knows that to work for both AI and ML, you need a lot of data. It is a business of data, and there is a lot of companies around us which has become unicorns using this data or database, our personal data. Because of all these things, now the security is not in individual companies control much. But when it is not in your control, but the companies will start worrying much how to protect it, how to protect it. So we read or hear the news that a lot of attacks or lot of data theft or the hacking, cyber hacking, lot of things are happening. So the hackers also is evolving. As the security evolves, the hacking, the thief also keep evolving. They are also coming with new tools, new way to and get steal your data and make sense out of it. So this is the current security landscape. The data is no more within your safety of four walls. It is out there in the cloud, right? Anybody can touch, anybody can download, or anybody can start use for multiple purposes. Because of these scenarios, the companies are adopting more and more the security solutions. That's how we have a vast opportunity of security solutions today, especially once the COVID outbreak has started and a lot of companies adopting working from remote places and wanted to give their employees access to the data as well as the telephony infrastructure. The security becomes more important today. Okay, so this is the current situation, and from there we just move to telecom and cyber security. So here I'm just trying to connect. Okay, in the first phase we have discussed what is the current scenario, considering all the enterprises, what is happening and what is the security changes happening. But specifically for telecom and cyber security, there are a few points which will be interesting if we can just highlight it here. So there are two aspects when it comes to the telecom security. One, the security aspects for telecom operators. We know each of our countries, we have leading telecom operators. If you take it in India, you have Airtel, Vodafone, Jio, all these players. And each countries, we have today people joining from 15 plus countries. And each of your countries, you have your own leading telecom operators. And they have certain security measures, and they keep their security infrastructure updated, because they are bigger enterprises. They need to protect their data, so they already have. So security for telecom operators and cyber security for enterprise telecom infrastructure. These are the two aspects. One is the telecom operators, the other one is enterprises. As I mentioned, telecom operators is very much aware because they are a bigger companies. They have the cash power. They can investment in higher security applications. They can have a lot of check and controls when it comes to the security. But enterprise telecom was so far, maybe 2 years back, it was a neglected field. Not much enterprises was very much bothered about their enterprise telecom security. But what we have to remember is that most of the big enterprises, there is a huge amount spent in the telecom, right? Communication is one of the vital link for any enterprises, and almost all these enterprises are spending a good amount of money in their enterprise telecom infrastructure, telephone lines, PBX, multiple IVR, call recording, and multiple SIP trunk, VoIP. There are multiple things an enterprise uses, but they were not much bothered about the security. But recently there is a huge threat, or these enterprises have come under threat from different phishing, impersonation, or the fraudulent activities. Now they are aware about the about protecting their enterprise telecom infrastructure. Just to give you some stats, in 2021 there was a survey, and it says the 2021 the total telecom revenue across enterprises, including the service providers, is 1.8 trillion. But the telecom loss due to fraud, the hacking and other fraudulent activities, it is 39.8 billion, right? 39.8 billion US dollars. That means, of course, when you compare to the revenue of 1.8 trillion, the 39.8 billion is just 2.2%. But when you take it in a more, in a absolute, currency terms, 39.8 billion is a huge money, bigger than some of the economy itself. Okay, that is the loss. And the frustrating or disturbing thing is that this trend is increasing, right? From 2029 to 2021, there is a 28% increase in revenue loss through the companies. The enterprises loses this revenue to multiple reasons. I think those who are working in the enterprise telephony or IPPBX, you know that if you don't secure your telephony system, within few fraction of minutes, you will get hacked, and your trunk lines, your telephone lines are used to make high tariff international calls. and you end up getting $10,000, $15,000 for just 1 hour compromise, right? So that is how companies loses money. So now the telecom security for enterprises is a big thing. There is where the astTECS has some offerings, right? astTECS has a range of products which it can offer to the enterprises to secure, not only of course to secure the telecom network, telecom infrastructure. Also there are other data, the data informations, the database or their customer informations. So from that angle, we have three offerings. One is SBC, then the firewall, then the VPN. So we will discuss each of these product in detail in the coming slides. As I mentioned, when you hear these products, or you go through these products, you may have some doubts, or you may be hearing first time. You need any clarifications, or you may be working on some requirements. You have some clarification required, please put that in the comment section so that we can attend to it in the question answer time. Okay, so now let us come to the SBC, session border control. So before I proceed with SBC, let me ask you a simple question. If you are now listening to me, so just tell me how many people have heard of SBC or the session border control. If you have heard of, just put it yes in the chat box, so that I will just have a survey type. So okay, you guys are following me? If you have heard of SBC anytime in your career, in your business, say yes. Okay, Mansukji, yes, I know. Jara, Suraka, yes. Okay, I think Suraka from MTN. Yeah, I think yes. Bochi, yes. Yes. Balan, yes. Okay, I think only those who are heard of yes is telling yes. If you have not heard, you can say no also. Then I will get how many people are aware of it and how many people are not aware of it. I think everybody is yes. Okay, I think we have very few telling. Okay, good. Okay, no, I think Golden. Okay, Golden. I think you have an opportunity to know about it now, Golden. Okay, Tawada, yes, no. Okay, okay, great. Thank you. I think actually this is yeah, I should say maybe 80% people are telling yes, they are aware of SBC. Of course, I think many of our today's participants are from the telecom background, our partners or our customers. Of course, they might have heard of SBC. There is nothing wrong if you are not heard of it. I think this is an opportunity to learn about it. So let me take you a very brief understanding about what is SBC. So SBC, the expansion is session border controller, right? So session border controller, okay, maybe the name itself shows it act like some controller, right? So okay, so in fact the SBC means it's a VoIP network demarcation point for enterprise. What does that mean? The VoIP network demarcation point for enterprise. See, now this is applicable, or only for enterprises, those who are using the IP communications. The enterprises, those who are using IP communications, SBC is their firewall, right? Their firewall for voice communications. SBC is designed to regulate the signals that passes through VoIP network, and in doing so, an SBC ensures security and quality of service (QoS) for all the communication streams within the VoIP network. Okay, so in short, the SBC is the VoIP firewall for an enterprise. If any companies that is using the VoIP communication, it is highly recommended that they use an SBC. I will talk about what is the difference between SBC and firewall, because when I explain these things, you may get confused. Okay, I have a firewall, so I require an SBC. Even if you have a firewall, you have a VoIP communication, it is recommended that you use an SBC, because SBC is the quality control and demarcation point between your VoIP communication within your network and outside internet. Okay, it is highly recommended. When you compare with the firewall is little more of a static in nature, right? You can feed in certain things. Okay, this website should not access, this bandwidth utilization should be like this. So you can give certain command and control and it executes. That's what firewall is. But when it comes to the SBC needs to be little more intelligent and little more, AI, artificial intelligence based, because it is not that we can just give a command. The SBC monitors your communication communication streams and take actions based on that. It inspects all your communication packets, and any suspicion based on some algorithms or some patterns, it takes actions. This is one of the aspect. Okay, why it is different from SBC is different from firewall. So the firewall is mainly to take care of your data security and access security, but SBC is mainly to take care of your voice and video security. I hope you are getting the difference. Why? Maybe normally customers will have this question: we have the firewall, do we require an SBC? Of course, you require an SBC if you have a IP communication going through your network, because your firewall may not take care of all the aspects of IP and video communications, but an SBC does. So session border controller, right? SBC. So session means the communication happens. Those who are from the technical background knows that the communication happens in a sessions, right? You initiate a session and the communication happens in a sessions. So this SBC will control those sessions. Border is a demarcation, like when you pass one country to another country, you have the customs or immigration, right, who inspects is the right person getting into my country. The same way the SBC act as a immigration officer. Based on certain parameters, it checks and authenticates and allows. Okay, so that is what SBC means or SBC does. Okay, it has got a lot of configuration features. We will not be able to cover all those configuration features in this 40-minute session, but we will try to give you an overview of it. Now, what are the types of SBCs? Yes, there are hardware-based SBC. As you can see in the picture, you have a beautiful box which comes and sits in your network and which takes care of all your voice communications. There is an hardware-based. Then there is a software-based SBC where only the software will be installed. Then you have a cloud-based SBC. See, this cloud-based SBC also is getting popular. Any cloud telephony companies will have their own cloud-based SBCs. Of course, bigger service providers will have SBCs. Name it, any big service providers. It can be MTN or Airtel or Vodafone or Jio. All these people have their SBCs because SBC controls a lot of other parameters. When we talk about the applications of SBC, we will cover there. It enables the interoperability between multiple service providers, multiple codecs, all these things the SBC does. So these are the three types of SBCs which is in offer: hardware-based, software-based, and cloud-based SBCs. Okay, so what are the SBC's functions? So I was telling, what are the SBC functions? So SBC functions, one is security. We are very much aware that it tracks, it provides security to the enterprise telecom infrastructure. See how I don't know, maybe some people might be aware how the enterprise telecom infrastructure is a threat, right? So now if you are using an IPPBX and you have people working from remote locations, right? Of course, because of current scenario, a lot of bigger enterprises, still people are working from home, and company wanted to extend your telephony network to them. You have to enable the public access or secured public access to your telephony system. Okay, so that employees from home can access the system and make and receive calls or use the address book, a lot of functionalities. Because telephony today is integrated with your CRM, your ERP, all these things, so it is required. So when you allow this, if any small security lapse, the hackers are there, which are robots, which just get into your system and takes control of it. Just 5 minutes, you will end up losing everything, including money, right? In telecom, it's not just a data loss. What happens is that you lose money because it will make ISD calls, it make SDD calls, it make premium number calls. So, or your number get blocked. Something serious can happen. So this SBC protects that. So if you have an FEC, we have a case study there, we will explain in detail. If you have an SBC will control this access, right? It inspects and sends, right? Especially the voice packets and video packets. And interoperability simply means that, see, there are multiple service providers to be connected together, and you require a least cost routing. Now, all these things, through interoperability, the SBC enables all these features. Then interworking. See, there is interworking in the sense, there are multiple protocols available. There are H323, there are G711, G729, and different providers, different streams, different PBX, different VoIP uses different protocols. The SBC synchronizes this and seamlessly routes through the network so that the communication will not get disturbed. The encryption and decryption, encoding, transcoding, all these activities happens through the SBC. That's how it enables the interoperability and interworking. Both are almost same. The quality of service assurance. So it ensures that call admissions, the control policies or type of service, all these things is controlled within the SBC. Then session routing. See, session routing is basically routing the calls through multiple networks, right? You will have a GSM, you will have a VoIP network, you will have a PRI, you will have an LCR route. So SBC will seamlessly take care of all this routing, thus enabling the maximum effective utilization of your, not only security, the effective utilization of your trunk lines. So in my initial discussion, I was more talking SBC on a security aspect. SBC is not only just a security aspect, it enables interoperability, interworking between codecs and between multiple service providers. It also enables the session routing, means it also enables high availability and also the LCR, the least cost routing. Also, to an extent, right? Certain SBCs even have a billing module where you can configure and generate bills, right? In our case, our PBX will have the billing. It is not controlled by the SBC, but there are SBCs which has inbuilt billing module also. So these are the main functions of the SBC. I hope, I cannot go in detail of all this technical aspect of it. These are much more technical understanding is required. I'm just trying to give you an overview that what is it, what are the functions, right? Then what is the applications? So where it is used, why it is used, actual applications. So as I mentioned, as a general, any enterprises which has IP PBX or IP communications, it can be audio, video, whatever it is, you preferably should have a SBC. Okay, that is the first application for all the enterprises. Then for SIP trunking, right? Wherever there is a SIP trunk to be connected, there are physical SIP trunk or IP based, the account based SIP trunk, which is just an IP over internet. You can use for SIP trunking purpose. It acts as a SIP gateway. You can configure the SIP onto it and connect to your PBX. Okay, I'm talking SBC applications. Then cloud-based communication services. Almost all the cloud-based communication, you need to have the SBCs. IP contact centers. Nowadays, almost all the contact centers are IP-based. So you need to have when it's IP-based, especially you have remote agents working, you need to have an SBC to route your traffic. Mobile workers, that's what, the small office, the mobile workers are the workers outside your network, accessing your telephone infrastructure to make and receive calls. So then to unify, you have multiple service providers, multiple SIP trunk with different costing aspects, right? You wanted to unify and make it an interoperable system, then you have to use the SBC. Then of course, for the service provider border security, almost all the service providers are using the SBC to control their network. Okay, I think okay, let me just check, am I audible? Is it still, you guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think we have some fluctuation. Okay, good. Okay, we continue. You can see my presentation, right?
Yes.
You can see the presentation. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we spoke about SBC. What is SBC? What are its functions? What are its applications? We spoke about these things. I hope this gives you an understanding, those who are not aware about the SBC. A simple case study. This is one of the case study we did it in the Middle East for a company called Rukamal. I think a few of you guys might be heard of this company. This is a bigger implementation of 1000 extension implementation. If you see the architecture, you can see the SBCs. So here the case study was the requirement was something like the company is changing their existing, I think Siemens PBX and moving to an IP environment. and we are implementing the solution. And one of the requirement was to have the remote extensions, where they have a bunch of people working from remote locations. It can be a drilling site, multiple places, right? They have scattered, they do a lot of heavy industry works like mining, petroleum, all these things. So they have people scattered across different sites, and they wanted to use the central PBX. So now when they have to, if you see the architecture, they have a primary, secondary, and they have a telephone lines, PRI lines. So everything we have given on a redundancy mode. They have a primary, secondary, and it is configured with virtual IP. So one fails, the other one take it up. Now, when it comes to the remote agents or extensions, we cannot connect that directly to the PBX, because if we connect, then we are exposing the PBX. That means the very high chance of, though they have a firewall, it is very high chance of getting compromised and losing their revenue, right? And disruption of the service. So seeing that, we have recommended the SBC, and here, see, this is the one of the application of the SBC. Okay, SBC can be used at multiple. It can be used at the trunk side to get the SIP trunkings, right? As I mentioned, for SIP trunking. But here, because it's a PRI T1 E1 line, and the requirement is to connect the remote extension, so we have the SBCs. And here also to be noted is that SBC redundancy is provided, SBC1 and SBC2. If one fails, the other one will take it up. Then all the SIP extensions are configured on these SBCs, and those extensions are configured for the remote users. So whenever these remote users are connected over internet, they are connected to the SBC, and from there, the SBC takes care of the communication control to the PBX. So any outsider trying to reach through this remote extension network, they can only reach up to SBC, and SBC stops it, filters it, and only allowed traffic goes to the PBX, and no way the hacker can reach, because the challenge is that if a hacker or a fraudulent guy reaches the PBX where the trunk is connected, right? He reaches the trunk, there is a challenge. So we have to protect the trunk to avoid revenue loss. Of course, you have to protect the PBX also, because you have customer data, call recording, all these things on the PBX as well. So this is a case study where we have provided SBC to connect remote locations, remote users, and it was a bigger installations. Hope this case study also gives, or this architecture also gives a little understanding about how we can implement SBC for the enterprises. Okay, so this is about SBC. So we spoke about SBC. We spoke about the SBC functions, its applications, and a case study. So this gives a bit, little better understanding about the SBC. Okay, so now we move from SBC, we come to the firewall. So firewall is another astTECS offering which we have today, and we have a beautiful feature-rich firewall solutions for both enterprises, smaller and bigger enterprises. And I'm sure that almost everybody in the group is aware about the firewall. I just wanted to highlight the firewall as a solution and introduce astTECS firewall to you people, so that you can carry this to your end customers whenever there is a requirement. If our customers are already there in this call, they can also get more details or a demo of our firewall. But on a formal sake, let me just talk about firewall. The firewall is a security device. It can be a computer, hardware, or a software. Currently our firewall solution is an hardware-based firewall solution. Actually, this firewall helps to protect your network by filtering traffic and blocking outsiders from gaining unauthorized access to the private data on your computer or on your servers, right? Firewall carefully analyze incoming traffic based on pre-established rules and filters traffic coming from unsecured sources to prevent attacks. So basically the firewall is used to filter the traffic and prevent the attack. So it has certain rules which you can configure, and accordingly the firewall will act and protect your network. When I was talking about the SBC, I will clearly explained why the SBC and firewalls are two different things. SBC is mainly for your voice communication, and voice and video layer of communication. Firewall is mainly for data security and network security. Firewall may not take care completely of your voice and video communication. For that, you require the SBC. And firewall is more of a static in nature. You give certain inputs, it executes it. It will not very much, okay, of course, firewall also getting more smarter today, but more or less it is a static application. Now, when I talk about astTECS offerings and firewall, so we normally have, I'm listing out 11 features 11 features which a firewall must have. Just keep it in mind, these 11 features, and many of these features you might have already aware of. But if you have these 11 features, I think your firewall is a very decent firewall. It can protect you whatever currently whatever threat currently persists in the market. Okay, sorry. So what are those 11 firewall features? One is traffic shaper. I will just take you through this because when I take you through this, because you may have some understanding, okay, the firewall can do all these things. Maybe you may be using few of these features, may not be using few of this. So it will give you a tube light function that yes, why can't we use these features in our firewall, right? So traffic shaper, that's the one feature. Traffic shaper means bandwidth control and monitoring. See now, the firewall is not generally that it just protects your network. As I mentioned, SBC firewall does a lot of other things also, right? So bandwidth control and monitoring, it means, see now you have 1 Mbps line for your office. So you can decide, so you have multiple departments, right? You have a sales, you have technical, you have cloud, you have social network. So you can do a sizing of the network of your internet, how much bandwidth to be allocated, and of each of these department based on their usage, and you can control it, right? That is very, very important. Otherwise, you are an organization, how do you control your bandwidth utilization, or the sharing of the bandwidth across multiple departments? So the traffic shaper feature in the firewall does this job. You can allocate firewalls to multiple departments for a time period, right? So that thing everybody is aware. You can control certain access to certain URLs, right? That is a very common firewall feature. So you say, yeah, okay, so a lot of employees are using this social media site, let me block it. So you block access. This is done in the firewall. So you can control multiple URLs, access to multiple URLs, access to multiple downloads through this firewall. That is what web filtering means. Then another very, very important why firewall is used or helpful is logging, right? So tomorrow something happens and you wanted to go back and check the history, who logged in, who checked what was the history. It is like a CCTV for your campus. The logging, the firewall logging feature is a control for your network. For example, if some compromise has happened, you wanted to trace back, so this logging, so firewall will logging all the activities that happens across your network. It can be any activities, any access, any multiple password entry, any downloads, right? Any file sharing, all these things are logged in the firewall, and this can be analyzed at a later stage to make any case studies. Any case studies means any issue arises, you can go back and check those things. So that is what logging. Then internet aggregation and software defined wide area network. SD-WAN means software defined wide area network. Internet aggregation, so it is a very, very important feature for firewalls. See, companies will have multiple internet connections. It's not that companies will use only one connection, because you have downtime, lines can go down, so you cannot depend entire your operations on a single source, right? There will be a multiple point of failures. So now, so that companies will have multiple internet, Okay, so how you are going to utilize this internet, how you aggregate together. So you have 1 Mbps and 1 Mbps, 2 lines, that means total 2 Mbps. But how you aggregate together and give the benefit to the entire users is done through the firewall. It not only that internet aggregation within the office, you have multiple offices and you have multiple connections through multiple internet, multiple firewall interconnecting. You can aggregate all this bandwidth and utilize much efficient way. So this will help you to utilize your available available bandwidth in a much better and efficient way. That is what internet aggregation does. Then software defined WAN, you might be knowing, so if you have a scattered office and you wanted to create a wide area network to communicate seamlessly between offices, it's called software defined wide area network. That WAN network is created through firewall configurations, right? So that is what SD-WAN means. So internet aggregation and SD-WAN. Then sandboxing. So what is sandboxing? Sandboxing means it's actually a test environment, right? That's what the sandboxing term generally means. But normally, I think most of the time as an employee, as a user, we may not even realize. For example, we are trying to install something. So when you have a proper firewall and sandboxing is configured, the firewall will automatically takes this to a test environment and try to install it and configure and see that everything working fine. Then it gives back to install it in a production server. It's not just installing on your laptop. Maybe somebody is trying to install on your server, a production server. That means it automatically create a sandboxing or a test environment and get installed there. And if it finds to be suspicious or fishy, then the access is denied. So the sandboxing feature helps you to protect your production environment, without affecting by any malwares, right? That is what sandboxing means. Integrated wireless controller. So now the offices are becoming Wi-Fi, and you have multiple Wi-Fi network and routers. So the firewall will have this control of these Wi-Fi's, right? You have multiple Wi-Fi's. These Wi-Fi routers should come under a firewall control, so that you can control ideally who is checking into this firewall, who is using, how long they are using. So ideally, firewall connects multiple wireless controllers and make it, or controls it more efficient way and secure way, the way you want it, right? So that is integrated wireless controller. Deep packet inspection simply means that it's a feature where it checks each and every data packets which goes through your network to check what all already input is given, right? What type of information should not pass through, right? The keywords or certain protocols which is already configured. It checks all these things, then enables it, then sends the information to the customers. Then virtual private, okay, so VPN. So you can create firewall, you can create VPN in the firewall, so that to establish a secure connections during this lockdown, people working from remote locations. Many companies are allowed to work people on a secure way, enabling VPN. So this is possible because your firewall has a feature of enabling the VPN. But as you've seen in the introduction, we also have a separate VPN product. Why that is? Because it's not mandatory that all the companies should have firewall to enable the VPN. Some people, the usage is very simple. They just want to get a simple secure access. There you don't require an entire firewall setup. You just require a VPN connectivity. That's why we have a separate VPN. So it has got its own feature sets, and its own identity. So we will speak about it when we talk about VPN. You can create in the firewall virtual private network. Then malware and virus filtering. Of course, it is one of the leading feature of any firewall. The malwares and viruses will be filtered based on the inputs and understanding that firewall has. Then intrusion prevention system. So intrusion is the attempt to get inside your system for multiple purposes, right? For the theft or identity hacking or whatever it is. So the system prevents that firewall. identity management, integration, and single sign-on. So another very important feature of the firewall is that single sign-on. So because bigger enterprises will have multiple logins required for multiple applications, but what firewall can do is that it can synchronize all this through a centralized single sign-on. Okay, single sign-on with identity management. That means, so it is not only that you track the person is logs in with the right credentials. We also have to ensure that the right person is logging in with right credentials, right? The identity management also is very important. Now today there are multiple options how companies can manage this identity, and firewall enables those things. So these are, as a fast forward, the 11 features must a firewall have, so that we can ensure that all your functionalities are met and your network is secure. The good thing is that the astTECS firewall can extend this feature. Firewall overall features are much more than which is listed here. This is for a better understanding and to highlight few of the important features. So these are few of our astTECS firewall dashboards, just for your reference, how it looks like. So you have the traffic, what time, what is the traffic, then basically the flow of the traffic, the activity report, then you have the usage, different users, how much time they used it, the usage, the bandwidth usage, right? Then system information, each of the systems that is connected to your network, how they behaved, is there, what all threats we have received. All these things you can monitor and evaluate through beautiful and interactive dashboards. So these are a few dashboards for your reference. Okay, so this is about the firewall. So we spoke about SBC, we spoke about the firewall. So when we spoke about SBC, we clarified how it is different from a firewall. When we spoke about the firewall, we told virtual private network, the VPN is part of the most of the firewalls, but we also told that there is a opportunity for us as a standalone VPN, right? That's why we didn't talk much about what VPN can do in the firewall session. So the VPN, as you know, VPN is basically a virtual private network. So astTECS offers both for SME and mid-size segment and bigger enterprises is standalone VPN. As you are aware that astTECS, we have a cloud telephony infrastructure where we give by default VPN to our cloud subscribers. Right? So VPN is basically a virtual private network. It's a secure tunnel between your device and the internet. VPN protects you from online snooping, interference, and censorship, right? So the VPN is mainly because why VPN is very important is that, see, now a lot of countries countries will have certain VoIP restrictions. For example, in India, until the COVID lockdown, we had VoIP restrictions, right? You cannot use the VoIP and the PSTN or ISDN network together. But when the lockdown happened and people wanted to work from remote locations, the government introduced that you can use VPN to connect voice to your telecom network or to your PBX. Now, almost all the companies are using their Office PBX through your or extending their PBX to their employees through a VPN, right? So VPN has multiple. So basically, it enables a secure connectivity, and it prevents snooping, interference, and censorship, right? So this is a simple architecture. What VPN does is basically, if you don't have a VPN, it's just very open communication, right? It just goes like a highway. You can see what is going on, how many vehicles are going on. But once you have a VPN, it's like a private highway, covered, a tunnel. Nobody can see what vehicle goes inside those tunnels, right? So what actually it does is that once you have a VPN server and VPN client, so it actually encrypts end to end, right? Only at the device it gets decrypted and you can get the actual information. Like WhatsApp says, no, it's end to end encrypted. That's exactly what the VPN does for a general communication purpose. So enterprise benefit for VPN, as I mentioned, using VPN, you can access the office network from home, thus enabling work from home seamless. Access from any location, even when you're traveling, right? It will allow you to If you have a VPN, even if you are traveling to a country where you have a VoIP censorship, still you can use your VPN to access your PBX and make and receive calls. So that's what VPN is. Then cloud telephony. So when you have a cloud telephony, VPN is mandatory to access the cloud telephony infrastructure and exploit the features which is available with the cloud telephony. So it see the like SBC or the firewall. The VPN also has its benefits, like it protects your privacy, it enables secure inter-office connectivity, multiple offices, no outsider who is accessing your network, and it secures your data and ensures little more security for your for your network. Okay, so now coming to to a summary. So what we are trying to say is that we spoke about SBC, we spoke about the firewall, we spoke about VPN. All these three products are interrelated, but all these three products serves its own purpose, right? As I mentioned, SBC mainly takes care of your voice network. Firewall takes care of your data and network security. The VPN is actually where you just need to establish a secure connectivity, right? There where you have to use the VPN connection. And we also spoke about the changing enterprise landscape, then how telecom and security solutions are connected. Okay, so connecting all this thing together, so we have now created a bundle of products. Each of these products, SBC, firewall, and VPN, we have a bundles for multiple concurrent users. I am not describing or explaining those the bundles here, because it is available as a downloadable brochure from our website. You can download it, or you can reach out to our respective salespeople. They will be happy to give you those informations, right? I hope this small 35-minute session is useful to enhance your understanding on SBC, firewall, and VPN from an astTECS offerings point of view. Okay, so thank you so much, and we will keep the floor open for questions if any. Yeah, thank you for listening. So those you over to you for the
thank you, Mr. Benesh, for taking us through wonderful presentations on the astTECS security solutions and its offering, and explaining about SBC, firewalls, and the VPN. So we have a couple of questions coming up from the participants. So we'll just move to the question and answer sessions. The first question was asked from Mr. Tawanda. He requested for the IPPBX slides for educational institutes, that is pertaining to the product snippets presented by Mr. Dhanapati Satya. Surely, Mr. Tawanda, we will be sharing you the slides for the IPPBX Educational Institute, and if you require more information on that, we will be reaching out through our concerned sales managers. Right now, let's move on to the next questions. Next question was come from Mr. Olivier Tumbai. Okay, he has also requested a presentations for future reference on these security solutions. Surely we will be sharing you the PPT as well as the recording of this webinar so that you can take for a future reference. The next question comes from Mr. Bauchi. He would like to know how many Ethernet ports has astTECS firewall fireware devices.
Okay, Bochi, hi Bochi. If you are available online, you can say hi, so that people. And Dana, you are there. I think so. We have multiple models, Bochi. I think it starts with 4-port. Solution, and it can go up based on the multiple. Yeah, hi. I think Bochi is saying hi. You can, if your voice is enabled.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dana here. Sorry, regarding this port, actually we have a two model. Okay, one with 2 Ethernet port and then other model with a 4-port. Okay, so based on your requirement, we can select
Okay.
the firewall. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Bochi, you're there. Hope you can hear us.
Yes, he's telling yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Bochi. I think this is what we have currently. Let us know, if you have any more requirements. We should be able to work accordingly. Okay.
Yeah.
So, move to the next.
His second question is, what is the maximum throughput it can handle?
What is the
Maximum throughput.
Okay, see, it is we provide with a gigabit port. Okay, 4 port. Then it's each port is 1000 Mbps. So into 4 frames per seconds, it can take it.
I hope, Bokji, your query
Means it is a
good.
formula. It is a little complicated to explain. See,
Okay.
it is yeah, it is like 1000 Mbps into 84 byte into 8 means that much frames per second it can handle.
Okay.
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 His next question is, how many network nodes, that is switches, can be connected behind astTECS firewall?
Yeah, so since see, as we said, we have two model, one with the 2 port and then another one is 4 port. Okay, so it is how much port we have, how many, so we can connect switches, right? Means 4 port you can connect 4 switches, 2 port you can connect 2 switch to the firewall.
Okay.
Okay.
His next question is, does astTECS firewall support MFA?
Yeah, we support 2-factor authentication. Yeah.
Okay.
Multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
And okay, second is, can you configuring static and dynamic routing on the astTECS firewall?
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
Okay, I hope, Mr. Volchi, all your question has been answered, and probably, yeah, he has messaged that the question has been answered. Thank you so much. So I think we have almost covered all the question has been put it in the chat box. If any one of the participants has any queries, either you can unmute yourself and or raise your hand, or please type it on the chat box, so that we can attend the questions before we wrap up.
Yeah, if you have any questions, you can come online and you can ask us. It can be any questions, not be related to only the SBC or a firewall or VPN. Any other, because many of us are partners and customers, so we know each other.
Yeah,
so
even you can ask the questions on the snippets on the educational institute if you have solutions, if you have any queries on that also.
Hi sir, Arvind here.
Yes sir. Yes, tell me.
What are the product bundles are available as of now? We are giving into the astLite series or a server series, or how we can means the product bundle, just like 2 port and 16.
Yeah, so see, when it comes to the firewall is basically based on number of the points that we connect. So I think we have 100, 200, 300. And when it comes to SBC, we have SBC is based on the concurrent calls. So we have 50 and 100 on a box, and that is what currently available. And we can also see, it is basically when we say our models, it is the hardware models. Okay, when it comes to the software model, yeah, we can, based on the customer requirement, from 50 onwards, we have the software model to any number, because the hardware is sized based on the customer capacity, right? So yeah, these are the models.
And because why I ask because mostly these people are having it on a rental basis also, user base also. But do we have such type of features available, maybe on a rental base or user based model?
Okay, so of course we can have a rental model also, but it depends, because to say here, yes, we have the rental model, but it depends what is the size. See, we don't want to give the entry level model on a rental model. But if it is a bigger implementation, see now today there is a trend that bigger companies go on a OPEX model, right? Operational expense model. They don't want to invest on a CAPEX model. So where the entire PBX system is given on a rent, where the SBC or firewall comes part of it, then it makes sense. But we don't have a standalone SBC or a firewall rental model because it is not a very cost-effective model.
Understood, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Binesh. There is another question coming. Do I need to install antivirus if I have an astTECS firewall installed on my network?
Okay, good question. Maybe our technical team only should answer this. Dana,
Over to you, Dana.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
1 minute. So what was the question? Sorry.
Question was, do I need to install antivirus if I have an astTECS firewall installed on my network?
See, firewall. It is means firewall does a different thing. Okay, so you have users activity, means see, firewall will not block if some user can try to open any website with a malware. Okay, so firewall, what it will do is any request comes to firewall, it just analyze and then it accepts the request and forwards to the user. But if user itself it is trying to open it, okay, so that firewall has no control to block it. Okay, so some level we can do it, but or the pen drive to pen drive virus can spread. Okay, so those type of a thing firewall will not block it. Okay, so it based on your need. Okay, so if you have an office network where you don't have any file sharing or no USB connected, so you firewall itself enough so that there is no source of new any application coming inside. Okay, so it is all coming through your firewall. Okay, but in case you have the open network, user can bring their pen drive or external device and connect it to your system and then transfer between the system, then you need antivirus.
Okay, thank you. I hope, Mr. Bauchi, your question has been answered. Second, moving to the next wonderful sessions by Binesh and Dhanapati. Thank you so much, Mr. Mansukh, for the appreciations. Second question, suggestion has come from Mr. Kwame Apau. Please, if a price can be added, even if in ranges. Most likely he wants to know the price of our security solutions.
Okay, yeah, sure. I think we have a separate pricing list. On demand, on request, we will be sharing those price list. Who asked this? Okay, Kwame.
Mr. Kwame, yeah.
We will be sharing.
Yeah, the last question comes from Mr. Bauchi is, what is the concurrent session of TCP?
What is the concurrent session of TCP?
Yeah, so TCP. Yeah, 1 minute, Benish, I will answer. See, here in our system, we don't set any limitation on the concurrency. Okay, so so it is based on the request, means whatever request it comes in, we can take it. Means if it's a firewall, and then we have a 2-port model and then 4-port model, and then it based on how many WAN you have, how many LANs you have. Okay, so by default we don't have any limitation on the concurrency.
Okay.
So this is the last questions from the participants, and I hope, and thank you so much, Mr. Bauchi, for raising all these questions. Hope other participants also could have better understood on our security solutions. So so thank you. Yeah,
thank you everyone for your time. Hope this is useful. Time well spent. See you again with yet another webinar next month. Stay tuned. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.